So in last session we have started the topic called as an extraction of a nested data. So how actually the nested data has to be extracted from different the systems, different different nested the systems. So what are the nested file formats? As I mentioned previously, the XML documents and SAP ERP iDocs are an examples of the nested data. So where this is an example where we are going to see commonly in our day-to-day, like the career. So XML documents and SAP ERP docs, and the sales docs is an example that I'm trying to refer here. So how actually the parent schema, and parent schema is consists of a child schema. So how actually they are related, that's what we have mentioned here. And similarly, we have something called as sales orders, so representation of multiple nested schemas. So how actually we have represented. So we can like already gone through yesterday. So how actually the different like bill to and ship to and bill to contact and ship to contact. So for one order, so how many items and how they are referred here with this with the child subschema. So how actually so we are going to extract from all that we will see now. So now that is all about so what actually we are going to extract and how actually the nested data will be represented. But from the technical standpoint, so how actually the XML file will get extracted in the BODS. So we are going to have mainly, like we can have, if you want to extract the XML file from the BODS, mainly we need to have a combination of two files actually. One is called the header file, another one is called the .xml file. When you ask the customer for the header file, so customer may give you .dtd and .xsd is a header file. So the way they are referring, the way they are designed that particular XSD or DTD, they are different. The XSD normally it's a graphical interface, where DTD that can be represented as a standard structure. So that the .dtd would be the old one and .xsd is the latest one from the header file standpoint. And normally a lot of companies will go for a .xsd header file and data file as usual as .xml file. To extract an XML file, so within an SAP BODS, so we need to create .dtd file format for .dtd file and XML schema format for .xsd file. So these are the two things that you have to understand. So from data extraction standpoint, so how we have defined the data store in a similar. So if you are trying to extract the data from .dtd, we need to create a .dtd file format. If it is .xsd, we need to create an XML schema format. So there are like different ways actually to extract the the DTD format of XML schema. The two methods are using the query transformation or using an XML pipeline transformation. So these are like I've just mentioned, like diagrammatically where actually you have to refer on everything. So this is a place actually you have to again you have to consider your you have to import your file even. So we will see that. So what is the process actually we have to follow if we are trying to extract the data using the query transformation? If you are trying to extract the data from the query transformation, the procedure would be to simply you have to unnest the nested data, but you need to use an option called like make current that we will see in this session. So this is the process actually you need to follow. So we have to create the output that you want to unnest in the output schema of the query and select the unnest option. Then automatically it will be unnested. We will see that what you want to unnest and all and everything. See here, if you observe here carefully, so here we have something called two subschemas. One is called as an order, and sorry, the one parent schema, other one is called as one subschema. So in the parent schema is having an order number, customer ID ship 1 and ship 2, and the parent schema is having one child schema, that is called as the number of items in the same order number, and item city and item price. After I have unnested it, so see here how exactly so it is a flat structure now. Order number, customer ID, ship 1, ship 2, item quantity and item price, something like that. So this is the before we have converted to unnested. After we have converted, this is how actually you would able to see the data. Order number, item quantity, type, and customer ID. So because we have two types of items, again each item so is having ship to and bill to, so it has mentioned like this. So this is how actually we are going to make use of a query transformation. So we need to like always make sure that we use two query transformations. So with help of two query transformations only we can convert the nested structure into an unnested structure. That is what actually we are going to do. That is with the query transformation till now. Whereas like XML pipeline transformation, the XML pipeline transformation main aim is to what you call as to extract the nested structure, to extract data from the nested structure. This is meant for that. So the XML pipeline is ready-made logic in the form of a transformation which helps to extract the part of an XML data dynamically. I meant to say like earlier, if you observe here, so we have something called as an order. Within that we have one more subschema where it refers to the items. So in such scenarios, if you want to get part of your entire logic or part of your entire the structured, so if you want to get only the two subschemas or only one parent and one subschema instead of flattening all the schemas, normally we can go for this, the XML pipeline. We will see that, not a problem. So no multiple like inputs are allowed with the XML pipeline. So like if you remember for query transformation, we used to give a lot of inputs. So like 4 or 5 tables as to the query transformation, then we are going to define the joins and etc. So that is what actually, so we should not do because it won't allow. That is an XML pipeline transformation. That is one thing. And yes, Chandra.
A quick question, Venkat. Can we get your the PowerPoint presentation, whatever you are showing, so that we can follow or we can keep the notes, or do we have to take the notes and it cannot be shared?
Okay, you want me to send this PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, if you can upload it onto the
yeah, sure. I will upload it. Not a problem.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is how actually, so we are going to, like to follow that. Okay. So we will see that everything, so the XML pipeline and the limitation of an XML pipeline. So what is the limitation? So because the limitation would be XML pipeline is, like, so we have to extract only the part of an extraction, so only one level, only one set of columns that can be extracted. So multiple XML pipelines are used to extract multiple nodes. So we will see that everything, not a problem. See here, so one file, and so we are using multiple XML pipelines and using the query transformation, load it into the target system. So that is what actually happens here. So I just gave you the gist of what exactly we are going to discuss in today's session. So if time permits, we will see everything. If not, we will continue the topic for the next session even. But so this is what we are going to discuss in this particular session. So how to use it, query transformation. So if it is not like how to use it in XML pipeline transformation. So now here in my folder here, so I have something called as, see here we have the XML document and XML schema file. If I right click on the order, if I go to the properties, you will see that so .xsd. Okay, so this is the XML schema file .xsd file. This is having a header information. Whereas order, so if you go to the properties, this is an XML. So this will contain the data and it will contain the header information. That is the example that you have to see. If I double click on this, it will open in the Visual Studio. So Microsoft Visual Studio. It is a graphical interface actually. So how actually the what do you call as the tables are communicated, the tables are attached and all and everything. Okay, so by the time it will take some time. So as I have shown you the files in this particular folder, order is an XML schema file and order is an XML file. So we have one header file, we have one data file. So it is still coming up, not a problem. So we will leave that. And we will proceed for a creation of a job. So JP underscore XML, okay, so XML extraction. Okay, so this is the header information actually. So order number, product name, quantity, something like that. Like this. Okay, so you can play around with an XSD, the file or whatever you want to do. So there are like a lot of tools available in the market. So even the freewares also, like the liquid XML, something like that. So you can perform the generation of an XML file. You can also do, generate your own .xsd file, and you can also generate your own .xml file. And so whatever the complexity that you want to add it, and you can add it, and you can the practice. So the XML extraction using query transformation. Underscore the 6AMIST. So workflow XML extraction underscore query transform 6AMIST. We'll copy this entire portion because I have to mention the same. It is always recommended to maintain the naming convention. Okay, now I have defined the job, the workflow and the data flow. And now, so let's go to the local object library where we have to create our the file format. So now see here, so earlier we have in previous session, I think with one of the example, we have taken an Excel workbook as an example while discussing the merge transformation. And so we will see down the line how actually the, for text, what is the file format? For .csv, what is the file format? But for today, so because our source is an XML schema, .xsd, so I have to create a .xml schema. Okay, so right click and create new XML schema. Okay, if it is a .dtd extension, .dtd header file, I would have created .dtd. Okay, if it is because this is a .xsd, I have to create an XML schema in this BODS. So now what I say that FF, the file format, the sales, sales order, maybe one, because it seems to be already there. It is already there on my desktop. So on my desktop in my sales folder, I have something called as an order here. Okay, this is an XML schema file with .xst extension open. Okay, so the namespace and the root element name order, and so what is the varchar size that you can define it. So automatically assign content type. So it all depends upon, like, if you have any blob objects you can always import base 64 binary data types of blobs if you want to have. So if any varchar is there, so you want to, by default it is a 1024, that is what you want to maintain and all and everything. Regarding the namespace, regarding the circular level, these are all entirely related to the XML. If you want to have more information, so you can always Google it for an XML standpoint. But from the namespace, so for each and like each and every the custom generated in real projects, the namespace will be generated by the customer itself. So they will tell you, so what is the namespace, you have to use it and all and everything. So similarly, normally the circular level is 0. Circular level 0 means, so how repeatedly the schema is coming up. So how repeatedly the schema is coming up. It is only one time, or it is repeating several times and all and everything. Even this is also will be tell by your client. You don't have to worry at all regarding from the XML schema extraction standpoint. Everything will be tell you. So the customer will cascade everything, what you have to use it on and everything. If they didn't provide it, you can always go back and reach out to them. You can always ask them. So what actually the circular level value you want to give it, or namespace and etc. Okay, so having this particular knowledge, so now I just click on OK. Now, so this is the FF underscore the sales order 1. So that is the information we have. So the what actually we have to do is we have to simply drag and drop. So how actually what we are doing. See here, this is a very important point to note here. So till now, so whether it is a the file or file format or the data store, the table, whenever we have drag and drop into the workspace, it will ask you whether you want to make it as a source or target, that's it. But here you could see the 4 options here. When I say 4 options, we have an XML the file source, XML file target, XML message source, and XML message target. So when I say an XML file source and XML file target, the above 2 options are applicable whenever we are, like exchanging or extracting the data from XML in a batch job. Okay, whatever the job that we could able to see from the past, like the 6 sessions or 7 sessions, that is basically a batch job. But from the but from the real-time job standpoint, we should refer as an XML message source and XML message target. Okay, because the XML message and source and XML message target will exchange only one record at a time in the real-time job. Okay, whereas an XML file source and XML file target. So how actually we are like loading the data in a batches in a similar fashion. We can also have the same kind of records, not billions of records normally. Whenever we are going to use an XML as a source, it will be like something like we can have thousands, not more than that. Normally for that scenario only, normally we will use the XML as a source or as a target. Now I am using XML, the file format, .xml schema format, whatever we have the design here. I simply drag and drop, and I simply right click here. Now, so unlike so what we did for an Excel sheet, So here, so we have to specify 2 times. So we have to create a file format for that particular, requirement of what you call as the creation of a file format. And here we have to select that particular XML file. What is in a file, where exactly you have the file and all and everything. This is a file like this. Okay, so now what we did actually, we did the extraction part of an XML file. Okay, if I click here, I would see that only one value, like order number, the product name, and the quantity. This is what we have. So order number, the product name, and the quantity. So simply, if I double click here, you would see that I have only one level of the schema, like something like order number, product name, and the quantity. This is only the one level of schema I have here. Okay, so simply you can drag and drop. It doesn't matter because we have only one level of schema. You don't have to worry actually. So simply drag and drop, and you can load the data into the target system. So target, here we have something called as sales order. So execute the job, that's it. So we have something called as 3589. So this is what we have. Simply executed, only one record got loaded. Okay, so this is how actually we are going to simply extract the data. It is very simple. So it is only having only one schema. There is no sub schema here. We will see, not a problem. Okay, this is how actually we are going to extract the data from an XML, the file XML schema. So we will see one more example. So where we have, like another file, the combination of files where it says that we have something called as, see here, this is called as an XML document type definition. Okay, this is called .dtd. This is called a .xml. This is called a .dtd. Okay, so we have one more. We will see that example. So where it has, I think, the one parent and one child. So try to create one more file format actually for an XML schema. So FF, the sales order, I think this is all the sales order. I'm going to give FF underscore sales order 2. So browse for it. So this is one file, and so here we have something called as customers. Just click on OK. So I have created the sales order FF underscore sales order 2. This is the one. Now create one more example. So one more job. XML extraction. We can say that an example 1. So now, so we will see that. So I'm directly creating the data flow now. I'm not creating a workflow. As I mentioned previously, it is not at all mandatory that we need to have always the job. Within the job, we need to have a workflow. Within the workflow, we need to have a data flow. So we can create a data flow directly in the job. There is no need to have any particular what you call as workflow within the job. We can directly have a data flow directly in the job. So here this is a data flow that I have simply directly mentioned here. So FF underscore the sales order 2 here, I'm making other source. Then I double click on this. Then I will select my file. Where is the file I have? This is the file I have. Now if you observe carefully here, so we have actually one parent schema. So the schema is having like something like customer name, name 1, name 2, street 1, street 2, something like that. And it is having something like the customer number, the sales organization, customer group, order block code, and source system. This is the information we have. Okay, so if I click on it, see here it is having only one record it is showing. But when I double click on this, see here it is showing the whatever the reference we have. If I again click on it, it is showing one more record. See here like this. So this is how actually, so we need to like the proceed with an extraction of the schema where it is having more than one. See here, this is the parent schema. In that, these are all the sub schemas. Each and every schema is having one record. That's what actually happens here. Now, so let's proceed with an extraction part. So use a query transformation. The query transformation is very important here. In a lot of companies, even in my projects also, I have used the query transformation most of the time. So what actually you have to do is, you have to first simply drag and drop. First you have to do like this. Okay. So after that, right click and perform an action called unnest with the subschemas. So what we are saying that, so please remove the nested structure. Please remove the relationship, the subschema relationship with the parent schema. That is what actually we are trying to do here. So unnest with subschema. Okay. So now see here, this you are able to see some symbol here. So unnest with subschema. So this is a symbol. Now go back and add one more query transformation here, like this, simply drag and drop. That's it. That is completed automatically. Simply drag and drop. That's it. So whatever the records that you, whatever the fields that you don't want to have, so you can always remove the customer name, the system source name. Simply load it into the target system.
Venkat?
Yes, please.
So essentially what you're doing here is you are taking a hierarchy structure and you're flattening it out, right?
Right. Yeah, right. But here you cannot say that this is a hierarchy structure. We cannot use the word for hierarchy structure, but yeah, right. Yeah.
But in query, you have flattened that or unnested that, and then you created another query. What is the reason for that? Why do we have to do that? Because in this output schema, you're already doing a action called unnested, right?
So got your point. Let's take an example that let us remove this. Okay. So let me first execute this. Okay. Let us see the output.
Okay.
Venkat, can you please show the XML structure so that you have used the file for the sales order too?
Sure. Okay, let me execute this. So it will come up and so we will see that. So I've executed now. This is what actually happens here. So we have something called as 137 records got loaded into target system. These are the records we have. So basically this is related to the customer number and what is the customer ID of the customer and the address of the customer. This is the real-time data that I've taken from the pharma industry. And so we have something called a sales note. So when actually it got purchased, what is the product they have purchased. So when actually the invoice got sent to which person or like which person. So it is the sold to payer, sold to or payer address here. So address note and what is the customer code here, what is the JLN number, and so what is the account number, account type, so what is the DUNS number of that particular address, and what is zip, what is the phone number, what is the email domain, what is sales organization, the customer group, and what is an order block code. So order block code, there are some orders they will get blocked, so it depends upon the requirement. So that is called an order block code. So what type of block they have done that. So all the information that is mentioned here is related to the sales order for that perspective, like the sales organization. So now what actually we did, so we just tried to understand, so the schema structure, right? So I will just click on the XML document. So you will see the structure here like this. See here, the customers is the parent. After that, we have something called as a record. If I close the record, one second, right. If I close it, see here, each and every record is having one schema like this, like this. So basically, customers is a parent. So as a whole, if you remember, so what we have given while the defining the XML file format. So what we have defined here, we have defined something called as customers is your root element name, right? So here this is the customers where we have a root element name. So within that we have something called as record. All these record is the repeated, the recursive the schema. In that the customer, and within the customer also, so we have one more. What is that? See here, this is the sales organization data. So within the customer. So this is one from this part. So this part. So this is the parent schema from customer to till this point. This is the parent schema, customer. After that, we have a sub schema within the customer. So that is called as the sales or sales organization data. So this is how actually this is an XML file actually where it has the data here in it. Okay. So this is how actually we are going to use an XML, the file. So in order to extract the nested structure. So we have used two query transformations, and instead of using two query transformations, now we will use only one query transformation. So I will keep the target table here itself. So sales order.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, back on this transform here, where exactly did you flatten it out? Where did you unnest it? I missed the click.
Okay, not a problem. In the query transformation, so I have to right click here and I have to make it like unnest with sub schemas. You have to click on that.
Yeah, could you show me where you did that again?
Yes, please. See here, so are you able to see that? So once we go back and in the query transformation, we have to right click on the record or the schema. You have to click on the unnest with sub schemas.
Okay.
Getting my point? So automatically the symbol will come up. Maybe I will repeat once again, guys. So let me, yeah, I understand that, not a problem. So I am placing a query transformation now. So in the query transformation, just simply drag and drop what we have here into the next level and right click on the record schema and click on the unnest with sub schemas. Okay. After that, go back. So here I didn't, the flattened yet. I have just, created a situation where it will get flattened. I have just mentioned, please unnest. So in the next the query transformation, the unnested fields will come up as an input. Now, to simply select what are the fields that you want to have here and load it into the target system. I mean to say output of a query transformation. So now load it into the target system. Just simply connect, execute the job. That's it. So 3589 is the port number on which the job server is running on. So it got loaded 137, but what is the record that is entering? Only one record. So finally we got 137 records into the target system. So are you getting my point, Don? So have you understand like what I'm trying to refer here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Okay. Now, as one of the our friend asked, so what exactly happens if I directly connect my target table to query 1 instead of query 2? So let us have that. Okay, sales order 3. I will connect to like this. Okay, so instead of connecting the query 1 to target table, so I will connect directly to this. Let us see. Execute. See here. So you got my point? But only the change here is, if you see in the sales order 3, some fields are repeating here. Something like customer number 1, the source system 1. So we cannot delete those two. That is one thing. And the second thing is, so if I have to do any the kind of scenarios, like if I want to define a primary key, something like this. Okay, so if I have to look up any particular information, if I have to say if you want to filter anything, so where my sales organization is, I need to have only 06. If my order block code is 0, don't load it into the target system. So all these different features will be missing here in this particular scenario. So that's the reason why, so normally it is always recommended to use 2 query transformations. So that's the reason why I told you it is very, very mandatory to use 2 query transformations from your, the quality of your design standpoint or mapping standpoint. Other than that, we can use it, not a problem. So that's the reason. So the entire, in our sessions, I will use always 1 extra query transformation. Okay. So did you get my point, Raju?
Yes, Venkat. But using multiple query transforms, will that have any effect on the performance of the job?
No, it won't affect anything in terms of the performance of the job. It won't create such type of problem. But so we can avoid completely the usage of the query transformation if you are trying to do a push down. I mean to say, so normally what happens is, whatever the mapping logic you are trying to do, all the logic will get taken care by the BODS itself. I mean to say, it has to process it, it has to execute it, and it has to load it into the target system in general. The SQL part normally will be taken care by the execution part, will be taken care by the BODS. There are some jobs where we have millions of records, and if you are trying to do any calculations in that, maybe those the SQL statements have to be pushed down to the target system, pushed down to the source system. Sorry. So we will see that example while discussing the SQL transformation. In that, the SQL transformation is called as a full push down of the transformation. With the help of the SQL transformation, we can improve the performance enormously, where, like it is not possible for us to perform many number of mapping logics within SAP BODS. Okay, that the part that we will see whenever we discuss regarding the SQL transformation. But normally it won't affect. So that's the reason why we used to have if you are already using one query transformation, it doesn't matter. So use the second query transformation. If you are not using any query transformation, then that is fine. So completely you can connect source to the target. There is no need to have any particular query transformation. I mean to say, especially in case of the flattened table. But in our case, we have to use one query transformation. If I use another query transformation, that will not impact your performance, because you are not defining any conditions. If you are defining any conditions, you have to define a conditions in the query transformation, first query transformation, but not in the second query transformation as possible. Because the first query transformation will push down all your, the conditions to the target, the source database, so that it will enhance your performance. So getting my point? What I'm trying to refer here?
Yeah. So what was the major difference between using like the both the query transforms? Maybe I missed something. When you showed the data between the sales order 2 and the sales order 3 tables, what was the difference?
No, the data is considered no difference. But okay, if you observe carefully in the query, so we have something called as, if you observe carefully here, we have something called as customer underscore number underscore 1, the source underscore system underscore 1. These two are fields are extra. Those are already there in the parent schema. Getting my point? The source and the customer. So if you don't use this particular query transformation, those two extra fields also will come up in the target system. That is one thing. So getting my point, what I mean to say? So if you use this particular query transformation, we can remove those two and we can define as a primary key. This particular customer number, we can define as a primary key if you have a one extra query transformation. Similarly, if you want to do any lookup, it will allow us to perform any lookup into another table. If you want to have any function has to be called, we can call the function. So all these different flexibility. So from the flexibility standpoint, without degrading your performance, yes, you can always use another query transformation. Not a problem in that.
So essentially, in an XML data flow where you are using a query transform to unnest the XML data flow, you cannot perform. Or you are limited to using the query transform as just like a query, but not like filtering and all that. Like
right. What if you use only one query transformation, yes.
Okay. I mean, within the query transform where you are performing unnested, then you'll be then there are limitations with that particular query transform.
Right, not limitations. Like it won't allow us to do that, right? So because we haven't converted yet.
Yeah, when I say limitations, you won't be able to assign primary keys or delete
obviously. Right. Because if you observe carefully here in the query transformation, here everything is grayed out. See?
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that. So it won't allow us to do. So that's the reason it's always better to have a one more. So not a problem. It will give you some flexibility. So this is an example of a query transformation. How actually you are going to unnest.
I have one question.
You have a parent schema and the child schema. Yes, please carry on.
One question. Right now this is on one level, right? So what if you have like multiple levels?
What do you mean by multiple levels?
A parent has a child. Again, the child has one more level.
Right. Got your point. The same case. How many number of the child you may have? So this is one parent here, see, right? This is a child. Within the customer, we have one more child, like this. That's it. So even though you have anything for you, it doesn't matter for you actually.
So how many levels it can be? So just one query should do. That's what you say, right?
Yeah, so it can have any levels. It doesn't have any limitation actually here.
So in the documentation, we have like one limitation that is only with the XML stage. Sorry, the transform XML pipeline XML transform. So it does not.
No, that is the XML pipeline, not with the query transformation, right? The XML pipeline is entirely different. That we will see.
Okay.
Okay, the XML pipeline is entirely different. The purpose of an XML pipeline is entirely different, and all and everything.
Hey, Venkat.
Yes, please.
Just a quick question. I don't know whether you are the right person to ask this question. We got the server access. So if I want to follow along with you, are these test files or the sample files are also on the server?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what we can do is maybe I have to upload everything. So what I have, maybe into our blog and all. So whatever the files I have, maybe I have to upload it. So from the file standpoint, and like even the whatever the server access you have, like I will also verify. And so whatever the tables that I'm referring from the sample tables, like Northwind or whatever the database I have in the SQL Server, maybe like I will verify that whether that is exists or not. So today my task after the session is
Thank you, Venkat. It will help us a lot so that we can follow along and do some simple exercises.
Not a problem. I can understand.
Thanks.
Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Yeah. Okay, so so this is all about how actually we are going to use the XML, so the extraction using the query transformation. Now we will see, like the same example we can also see with an XML pipeline. See here, so let me use an XML pipeline. XML pipeline will, yes please.
In this query, I mean, we have two options. One is unnested data, and above that we have the other option called as nested data. I mean, already.
Right.
Yeah. My doubt is already.
Right. So.
Yeah. From source table.
If you want to generate an XML the file, I mean to say if you want to load the data into an XML, if you want to generate an XML, then we have to use a nest. Nest means whatever the data you have, you are trying to nest it. So that is what actually meant by the nest with the subschemas. Okay, so that is vice versa. That is reverse of it. So if you want to unnest it, you can perform like the unnest with subschemas. So if you want to extract, but if you want to generate, you can perform a nest with subschemas.
Okay. From the source table, already the data is nested, right? Then again, in query, it is showing enable. The option is enable.
Okay, so no, normally it will show like that. It doesn't matter, like So normally it will say like nest with subschemas or unnest with subschemas. So which one you want to do in general? But these two options are active, but
okay.
but normally we have to use the below one.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you.
So now we have to use an XML pipeline. So the XML pipeline we have here. So instead of using the query transformation, now we will use an XML pipeline. See here, we can simply drag and drop whatever the information that you want to have. That's it. And this is information that you are expecting, so drag and drop. Insert below. That's it. Okay. So this is how actually, so we are going to make use of the XML pipeline. Simply drag and drop. That's it. So we will see the limitations in the next example. So what are the limitations of an XML pipeline? Like we will see that. So we have something called as query, a query 1. Yes, please, Kavita. So yeah, you can.
Thank you, Venkat. Thank you so much. Yeah. Hi everyone, Kavi here. I'm the training coordinator here. Yeah. Just wanted to give you a small update. I understand that a couple of you people were struggling with the server-related issues during the weekend. So what I have, like, there's no need to struggle for server-related issues or something like that. So we have created a news, like a section on your training blog, and which says server issues, and request you to subscribe to the server issues page. And if you have any kind of concerns or if you have any kind of issues, so request you to post your like I'm going to say the issue, so that you would be able to get the instant help actually during the vacation, like I'm going to say during maybe weekend, or maybe if there is a holiday or something like that. Okay, so if you have any kind of questions which is related with that, let me know. I would definitely sort out and I'll help you accordingly. Okay. I hope Chandra was struggling a lot during the weekend. He has sent almost like 2 emails and wherein he could not get the response. I'm sorry about it, Chandra.
Everything you can, huh? Everything you can.
So, do you have any other concerns which is related with the training or something like that?
Then all
are you able to hear me?
We are able to hear you, Kavita, but there is a background noise. We couldn't able to hear you properly.
I'm sorry about it. Yeah. So I hope the update is very clear. Venkat, just please update them in case if they really have any concerns. They can definitely send me an email. I will definitely get back to them. Okay.
Anything you want to add, Kavita? Let us. You want us to continue?
No. You can just update them in case if they have any concerns. So I will definitely get back to them. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
You can take over. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, guys. So this is what an XML pipeline. In the similar fashion, what we have loaded earlier, in the same way, we can always add one more. That's it. So very simple. The XML pipeline is very straightforward. So the sales order 4 I'll just mention. So that's it. So we can always execute the job. That's it. And we can load it. So the same example we are achieving with an XML pipeline. See here, what it is saying here, we have a violation of a primary key. Okay. So why it is a violation of a primary key means, see here, we are trying to again load it into the target system. So because we have mentioned like it is a primary key, so that's the reason why it is creating a problem for us. Not a problem. So we can remove it and we can whatever else.
Venkat, can you please go back to the data flow, please?
Yes.
So this XML pipeline that you just created and you're loading into sales order 4, it does not have the. How is it related to query underscore 1 transform? Why is it giving primary key violation? Because you're not loading it into sales order 2, right?
Right. See here, if you observe carefully.
And we did not set any key.
No. So if you observe carefully here, so it is giving an error message. Where it is giving an error message, see here, while loading into query underscore 1 of sales order 2, it is giving an error message. See here, violation of primary keys.
Because you are executing the job, so it's executing both the flows.
Yeah, obviously, whatever you have in that. So I think, Raju, like this is the first session for you or what?
No. This one, I missed that part where, you're executing the whole job.
No, I don't see you yesterday. That's the reason I'm just trying to ask you. Okay, that's fine. So Yeah, so this is how actually we have to proceed. So we have to re-execute and it will execute it. Okay, so this is how actually we are going to proceed with an XML pipeline, the transformation along with the query transformation. We can use a combination of it. So now we will take up one more example. So with that example, we will be completing an XML, the file extraction part. So JB underscore, we have something called as an XML extraction underscore example 2. I will take up. Now same similar fashion. So the process is same. Nothing is tricky here. Everything is straightforward, as you know. Sorry. So I have to select what I have to select here. I have to select the XML schema. So FF underscore. So the sales order. Maybe I will say like 3 this time. And we have something called as the file name. So here this time, like I have taken one more file, like in the like XML pipeline. So here I have something called as new set data or ship order. So let us select the ship order. So if it is not the correct root element, we will come back and change it. And here, so automatically assign content type. It doesn't matter for us actually. So the simply drag and drop. So, but before that, just try to create data flow here. So data flow, XML, extraction, example 2, file format. See here. So how many levels we have here? So we have the something called as, so this is called as a parent schema. In that we have, like one ship to is one, and another one is called as one item. So something like that. Okay. So these are two things we have here. So one is called as ship to, another one is called as an item. Okay. So this is the information we got. So 2 levels. So now we have just imported the schema, but we also need to import the file, right? So that's the reason why I will import the file. So this is the file we have now. So if you expand it, yes please.
Can we have multiple root element of one XML document?
Multiple root element, I didn't get you. Multiple root element means, can you repeat?
Like let us say the XML file, you have the root element.
Yeah, I see that this is a root, right?
Yeah.
Like if I expand this, whatever the file I have, right, this is a file I have. Okay. So what is your point in that? See here.
Here C order is the root element. You can see here.
1 second. Yes, please. So ship 2 I have, item I have.
C order is the root element.
Sorry, I didn't get it. Can you repeat again?
Yeah, C order is the root element. If you see the tag is open and closed. Yeah. So
that's what I'm saying. The ship order. So whenever, so you will create a file format, it will clearly shows that. See here, what is your root element?
Okay. Yeah. Understood. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is where actually you have to refer. There are like instances where I don't want to take it from the root element. I want to take it from the sub-schema level. Then you can have multiple root elements are also possible. But which root element you want to select, you can come back and you can select here. Actually.
So the XML file has multiple root elements. If I select the top one, then it won't give any kind of error, right? It will process the file. Will it process?
Yeah, it will process the file. Yeah. So you have to identify which root element, which level you want to have.
Yeah,
that's very important. So So that's what. So whenever you are trying to, like extract the data from an XML, so this is your responsibility to ask the customer. If you're able to see 2-3 root elements, you can either select 1, select 2, or select 3. What you want to do, you can always extract and you can always proceed for that. Okay, that's what you can do.
Can we try a different root element here?
Sorry, we don't have another root element here.
Okay.
Okay. So now, we have something called as, okay, so what we have to do? So we have the name, address, a city and country. See here, one subschema what we have here, it is having one record. So similarly, if I go to an item, it is having one more like this. Here item is having two, like records here, whereas the ship to is having only one record. So similarly, order to, for this particular order, ship to is one record, and within the ship to also we have two items actually. See here, item number. So the enterprise, the hide your heart, like something like that. We have two, like information we have. So order ID and an order person here, and we have the ship to here. So address, and we have something like an item. So this is the two informations we have. So how actually we will proceed. So now, as part of an XML, so see here, so as mentioned in my the PPT, now an XML pipeline is a ready-made logic that is in the form of a transformation which helps to extract the part of an XML data dynamically. So if you want to extract the part of your entire, like the schema structure, I mean to say, let us take an example that we have one parent and we have the child. Let us take an example. So if you want to get the part of it, then you can go for an XML, the data dynamically. So XML pipeline is a ready-made logic in the form of a transformation which helps to extract the part of an XML data dynamically. If you want to get all the records, all the schemas and sub-schemas and everything, then normally it is recommended to go for a query transformation. If you want to make use of an XML pipeline, then it is not possible to get all the the parent schemas and sub-schemas in a single go, like what we did earlier for the query transformation. So that is a major limitation with the the XML pipeline. The XML pipeline, with the help of an XML pipeline, we can extract only the part of an entire XML the schema. Like I mean to say whether the combination of parent and one sub schema. Okay, the combination of the parent and one sub schema we can extract at a time. If you are trying to extract more than that, it will give you an error message in an XML pipeline. So that's the reason why in the entire, so what you are able to see here, so you are able to see one, like the parent schema, one sub schema in that, and parallelly one more sub schema. These two sub schemas are at same level, like this. These two sub schemas are at the same level. So either you can select the first order ID and person one plus shift to the sub schema into the next level, or else you can select order ID and order person plus item sub schema. So you can select either of the combination that is possible. So that is only possible actually with the help of this order ID and order person plus shift to or order ID plus order person plus item. So that is what the combination is possible here. So let us take an example for the same with the query transformation. Okay, with the query transformation, how easily we can do that. Let us see here actually. So with query transformation, I will be simply dragging and dropping here like this. And so what we have to do, so right click on the query transformation and make it like unnest with sub schemas and go back. And so let's load it into the target system. So how we are able to load it? So using the sales order. Sales order 4. It's already there. So we will see like something like sales delivery. We will change the name. Sales delivery we have. Okay. Okay. So either you can have directly you can map it, or else we can also have a query transformation. One more query transformation like this. See here, automatically everything is mapped here. Everything is flattened here. Whenever I am trying to use another query transformation, and simply connect it. That's it. So now execute the job. Now whenever I execute the job, you would see that the results here. See here, we have order ID, we have an order person, order name, city, ship to, and but whatever like for the same order, so we have so different scenarios here. So one is for with the different quantity, the same order we have a different quantity here. So that is what actually happens here. So with the help of two, we have the different quantities with different prices we have. Okay. So this is how actually. So we are going to flatten. I mean to say we are going to unnest the sub schema with an XML, not with an XML, with a query transformation. Now for the same example, we will take up an XML pipeline here. Now, so what I will do is I will try to drag and drop the order ID, order person here, now the name here, address here, city here, country here. Okay. After that title, see here, only one multiple occurrences item is already mapped. Mapping for the column name title is not allowed. So these two are at same level, ship to and item. So we can have only one level. That is what I have referred in an XML pipeline. In an XML pipeline, what I have mentioned as a limitation, the XML pipeline allows only one level of an extraction. That is, from one level, only one set of columns of one node are allowed to extract. So these two are at the same level. That's the reason why out of these two, either you can select ship to or either you can select an item, but not both at a time. So that is what actually happens with an XML pipeline. That is what an example that I have shown you. So see here what exactly happens here. So diagrammatically, this is what the file, what we are trying to achieve here. So we have something called the sales order. For the sales order, we have something like an item information and ship to information we have. Okay. So whenever so we are trying to use it. So this is how actually we have to make use of it. We have to use two XML pipelines. And we have to join those two fields here. I mean to say with the help of the ship order ID, then maybe the order ID here, and load it in the target system. That is what actually we have to do. So that is the only way to have an XML pipeline usage if you want to get a whole data. I mean to the whole structure. So in a single go, what I am able to load it into the target system, I am able to load two sub-schemas and also the order ID and the order person. But whereas into this particular XML pipeline, see here I am able to have only the order ID and person and the remaining the ship to. From the ship to I have 4, or I have to, from ship item I have another 4 if you want to have. Now I have used one XML the pipeline. So I will remove this for our clarity purpose. Don't want to confuse you guys. So after that, so I'm going to have one more XML pipeline.
Hi Venkat. So basically the number of nodes, we need to use the number of pipelines, right?
Sorry?
I said the number of nodes we have in the XML file, we have to use the number of pipelines.
Right. I mean to say the number of nodes. So not is meant by number of nodes. So you have to identify that. Let us take an example that if your item is again a sub-schema of ship to, then we would have used it. Because these two are at the same level, so at a time it will allow to have only one level at a time. So that is the limitation we have. Okay. Well, that's the reason I mentioned in my PPT saying that XML pipeline is ready-made logic in the form of a transformation, but it will help to extract only the part of an XML data. That is what I have referred here. Okay. So order person, the title, node, quantity, price here. If I am trying to extract the name, it won't allow. So now go back. Now join these two. So with the help of the order ID, we can join here, where the order ID in the first the schema would be the order ID in the second schema, like this, and we can load the data into the target system. So that is also so that is the way actually we have to do that. So XMLDB sales orders and items. This is how actually we have to use a multiple XML pipeline, whereas in earlier example, so we have to make use of only one query transformation normally. What is that? Oh, okay. See here, I didn't select anything here in this particular query transformation. That's the reason why. So order ID, order person. So what you need to have, name, address, and city, and etc. Drag and drop. So after that, I also need to have the title, the quantity, and price. Drag and drop. Now execute the job. What you are able to see earlier, now also you are able to see the same. So this is how actually we have to proceed. So this is called as like something like shift to, if you want to change it, the name and all. So this can be something like your item. Okay, you can say that so your shift to and item join. So for our understanding purpose in a project. Okay, so this is how actually we are going to make use of an XML pipeline transformation, and the XML pipeline transformation is normally useful in order to read and processing of the large XML document in terms of data actually. Okay, large XML documents, and also at a given point of time, so the XML the pipeline transformation will take up only one input at a time. So like in query transformation, we can have many number of inputs. But whereas if you see here, the XML pipeline is having only one input. So similarly here, the XML pipeline is having only one input. It is not possible to have a more than one input to the one XML pipeline transformation. So that is not possible. And also, the XML pipeline transformation will only take only the nested structure as an input. That is one thing you have to understand. And no multiple inputs are allowed for an XML pipeline. That is a limitation. And normally, what actually the advantages of it? So,
sorry, Venkat, I have a question.
Yes, please, not a problem.
How the header file and the DTD files are linked? We can link with the XML file.
Sorry, sir, I didn't get you.
How we can link the DTD files and the header file, XML header files, with the extension .dtd with the XML file. Basically the header file.
Okay, till now we have gone through .xlsc with an XML, right? So you're asking how DTD will be mapped, right?
Yes,
a similar fashion, same way. Right click, go to new. If it is a DTD, just create a DTD. That's it. Okay. So here we have something called as DTD, because normally I don't prefer to use a DTD, Because one thing is it is an older way of identifying the header information, and this is a new way of identifying the header information dot accuracy. But the process is same, everything is same. You don't have to worry at all. Okay.
Okay.
Same way, this is the place. So I will send you the documents like the .ddd. Just try at your end. And if you're not able to do it, just let me know so we can try once again the session. Okay?
Hey, Venkat, this is Raju. So in the XML,
yes,
in the XML pipeline or the other query transform. So regarding the performance tuning wise, are there any parameters we need to look into?
So you're asking like the performance tuning. So what are the performance tuning techniques that normally we will take care whenever it is an XML pipeline? That's what you're asking, right?
Correct.
Okay. So whenever it is an XML pipeline, so there is no specific, like the performance tunings are required. Okay, from the, so what you call as the performance standpoint normally, because a lot of the projects in like almost 80% of the projects in an XML pipeline the standpoint. So the files are very less in number. I mean to say the data that is exists in the XML, the file, the data is very less when compared to our actual databases. In actual databases, we have billions of records. But normally this particular XML will normally useful for the real time. Okay, real time means you know that, right? So whenever I say real time, so we have only one record at a time. That is one thing. And right. So and also like in what are the projects that I have worked on all these years, we have hardly like maybe 10,000 records. So more, that is a maximum I have ever seen in an XML. So there are some instances where we can have more. That is only whenever like we are dealing with the IDOCs, loading into an IDOCs. Okay. So where we can have the several inputs like database as an input, we can have an Excel sheet as an input while loading into an IDOC. So that scenario is entirely different. We are just maintaining the structure in the BODS, but whenever we are trying to load it into an IDOC, we are not actually extracting the data or loading the data into an XML. So I don't think any specific or notable the performance tuning techniques have to be considered. Yes.
Okay, so there are no parameters to change, like any numbers kind of stuff like that.
No, that is not required.
Okay.
So my idea is to tell you that there are like a lot more other performance tuning techniques, like we have to take care. If we don't take care, I mean to say like I'm not referring to an XML pipeline. There are like other transformations. We have to take care of a lot of, like performance tuning technique. If you don't take those activities, so what happens is the project, there are like scenarios where the project may go halt. So there are like some scenarios. So when compared to those, so taking or considering an XML pipeline, the performance tuning techniques are very less. That's what I'm referring to actually.
Okay, if the same pipeline XML is like when we do like parallel execution, so there will be no issues on like executing on it?
When I say parallel execution, so you mean to say like so one workflow and several data flows in a parallel execution. That's what you are referring, right?
Correct.
Okay, no issues, no issues.
Okay, thank you.
So any questions, guys? So before so we will jump on to the another transformation. So Chandra and team, so are you getting the point what I'm trying to refer here? The Donald, so Mike, so are you able to understand, right? So you're able to understand what I'm trying to refer here, because this is very important. Even though you will get, maybe, in a lot of projects, it is not at all, they don't normally use an XML also. There are some projects where they don't use at all the XML as a source. So even though they use it also, so what happens there is hardly 10% in a project the usage of the XML file will be there. Okay, so it's not very regular, but yeah, they will use it. Okay, so this is how, so actually we are going to make use of an XML pipeline transformation, and so that is the difference between the query transformation and an XML pipeline. And this is how actually we have to perform a join condition if you want to get the entire part of your XML. So if you want to get like only some part, then you can go for an XML pipeline. So this is how actually, so we have to proceed with the different options of an XML. Okay, XML pipeline and the query transformation. So hope you enjoyed this particular the part of the session, like the XML pipeline and all, right? So do you have any questions?
Yeah, hi Venkat. Is there any limit for the XML file size?
As far as my understanding, I don't see any limit in an XML file is considered. I don't see a limit, but frankly speaking, I never come across a situation to verify that what is the limit or not. Okay, so because from BODS standpoint, what I believe is, so they will give the file and we have to extract the file and we have to load the file. So that is our primary goal as a BODS consultant, of course. So, but as far as my understanding, I don't see any limitation with an XML. But I have to check. Maybe I have to check and get back to you on this. Okay.
Okay, no problem. And I heard that to verify the XML file, if it is okay or not, then we need to do the parsing. So before loading the file, what is the process generally we should follow to test the file, if it is syntactically correct or not? Because XML is case sensitive, right?
Okay. So okay. So when you say like the parsing of the XML, the only way, I mean to say the very best way of parsing is, so whenever you are going to extract your an XML, so you can just go through your view data like this. Okay, that is one way. So when you say view data, if you are able to view the data, so then it will show you all these different types of, the schemas and sub-schemas here. There are some the scenarios where the file format is different and file is different. So getting my point, what I mean to say here?
Yeah.
Right. So the file format is different and file is different. So I mean, there may be one extra field also. It will throw you or it will give you the message saying that you have the file format is different with the file. So in that scenario, so you have to always open it and you have to verify it. So that is what. So but we have something called some tools are there like Liquid XML. Liquid XML, the different tools are there actually. So to identify and to understand, so whether is there any problem with an XML file or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay guys, if you don't have any questions, then so I will jump out to the next transformation. So next transformation would be the SQL transformation. The SQL transformation is a kind of transformation. If you are a SQL developer, so all your like knowledge in SQL and all and everything that you can always like you can develop queries. We can have like 100 lines of query in a SQL. And you can directly like copy and paste the same SQL in the SQL transformation, so it will push down all your like what you call as resources to the database, and it will fetch you the data. So SQL transformation is called as a full push down transformation. So it is called as a streamline transformation or upstream transformation. So upstream transformation is in a given logic. In a given the mapping the conditions, or in a given mapping logic within your data flow, the SQL transformation is used always at very first of your mapping design. That is the first transformation we are going to use it if you want to use an XML the SQL transformation. That's the reason why it is called as a streamline transformation or upstream transformation. So with the help of this particular, the SQL transformation, so you can perform all your complex logics where the business case logic or business logic is not at all possible to implement within the other transformations of BODS, or maybe it is very complex to implement within the BODS. Then normally you have to proceed with the SQL transformation. Okay, the SQL transformation, we have to use it when all your built-in functions, or whether it is very difficult to implement your the business logic within an SAP BODS. Then normally you have to go for the SQL transformation. Okay, the SQL transformation supports the select statement only. You know that what is the select statement and all. So SQL, within a SQL transformation, we can write only the select statement. It will only support the select statement. So similarly, so what are the transformations that we have discussed till now? An XML pipeline, maybe like so query transformation, merge transformation, case transformation. Whatever the transformation that we have discussed, all the transformations are require some input, whereas the SQL transformation doesn't require any particular input. It won't accept any particular, like the table, any particular the field as an input to this particular SQL transformation. So that's the reason why it is called as a streamline transformation. And with the help of this SQL transformation, so data services can push down expression so that it can be performed by the underlying database manager. So that is the basic example. Whenever there is a huge data, whenever there is a logic where in order to extract only the single column, maybe we need to join 5 other tables. Let us take an example. So normally, especially whenever there is a like a SAP CRM as your source, SAP ECC as your source, normally. So in such instances, normally, so what actually we can do? So we can have this particular the SQL transformation can be used. So with the help of a SQL transformation, you can push down all your expressions so that all the expressions on all the calculations, all the aggregations, all the group by or whatever you want to do, everything will be done by your database. So that is the basic advantage of a SQL transformation. The SQL transformation, so it will describe how to use the example what I have shown you. It will describe how to use the SQL transformation, to avoid an ETL code with built-in operations for so better performance. That is the push down the mechanism that I've shown you in this particular PPT, what you're able to see here. So if you observe carefully here, so in the diagram, so in this particular slide, so it depends upon my the mapping sheet. So I have prepared this particular logic. Okay, so what is a inner join, whether it is an outer join. So it depends upon all. I have simply mentioned the logic here, SQL code, and I just click on update. Then automatically the fields will come out. Whatever may be the 100 lines of code, if you use a SQL transformation, the mapping design would be the same. Only use query transformation, you only use SQL transformation. After that, it is maybe required to use the query transformation, then load into the target system. That's it. You don't see, like the combination of 5 or 6 or maybe 10 transformations what we use in case of a case transformation. In case of a SQL transformation, it doesn't require anything. It is very, very straightforward, very, very simple. So because whatever the logic that you have, everything will be there in this particular SQL text window. Whatever may be the 100 lines of code, whatever if you want to write any subqueries, you can write it here in the SQL text and we can paste it and you can use it directly in the workspace and load it into the target system. That's it. That is the end of the SQL transformation usage. So we will see a mapping sheet, and with the help of mapping sheet, how we will be developing the SQL, the code, SQL text of 5 lines or 10 lines, and how we are going to paste it, how we are going to load it into the target system. So that is what we are going to discuss in this particular the SQL, transformation. So we will see a mapping sheet, how actually you are going to get a mapping sheet with the help of a technical specifications in your project. So after that, we will see that how to develop a code on that, how to perform an inner join or how to perform a left outer join. Normally we use a left outer join and right outer join and the inner join. So while developing this SQL code, then after that, so we will try to use a query transformation. We will try to use a target system. That's it. That is what we are going to see in the SQL transformation. The SQL transformation is not very big, like if you already know a SQL. If you already know a SQL, it is a cakewalk to use the SQL transformation. So that's the reason why. So it is always recommended, the guys who are, having their careers in SAP BODS to have a SQL knowledge. Okay, so that is what actually we are going to see in the SQL, the transformation. Okay, so that is one thing. And once that is completed, so that part is completed, SQL transformation, and we will see with a real-time example of how actually we can make use of a row generation transformation. So row generation transformation also it will take another 1 hour, so 1 hour to 1.5 hours. So probably we will see that row generation transformation tomorrow, and also SQL generation transformation also tomorrow. So similarly, so how we don't require, like the input to the SQL transformation, for the row generation transformation also doesn't require any particular source. Doesn't require any particular source. It itself is a source. So it will generate an integer values starting at zeros, and it depends upon what is an increment that you have given. So I mean to say, like the row generation transformation will generate number of rows. So starting from 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that, into what is the value that you want to give. So it doesn't require any particular input like what we have given for any other transformations. So the main parameter needs to pass here is row starts at what number it will start, what is the count, so that you want to give it. And also we will introduce one more that is called the global variable, and we will introduce the substitution parameter in tomorrow session. We will see a introduction to the global variable tomorrow, and of course there is a global variable session separately that I have scheduled after 5 or 10 sessions. But this particular like global variable, that we will see what it is required for this particular example. So after that we will take up an example. So whether we have a plant here, and for each and every plant we have 3 plants here in a manufacturing domain. So for each and every plant they have their own way of manufacturing the items. So, and after depends upon my input. Maybe sometimes I want to see, or maybe plant 1 information in the target system. Sometimes I want to see plant 2 information. Sometimes I want to see plant 3 information. So it depends upon my plant specific information. I want to get the respective items. For this respective item codes, I want to get a respective item description. So I will also introduce one more function that is called the lookup function in tomorrow's session. Okay. So now, so this is what actually the plan I have. So in tomorrow's session, we will start a SQL transformation, and we will try to have a row generation transformation. We will focus on these 2 in tomorrow's session. Okay. So that's all for today's session. So do you have any questions, guys?
Venkat, quick question. When you say like push down, right? What do you mean by push down?
When I say push down, so normally what happens is all the calculations, so all the SQL execution part, all the group by part will normally done by the BODs actually. Okay, so what we are trying to do, we are trying to import the metadata, and we are trying to do the calculations on all the calculations will normally taken care by the BODS server actually, job server. Okay, so but here what I have is whatever the SQL language that I have mentioned in the SQL transformation, all the things will be taken care by the database itself. I mean to say all the calculations, all the group by, all the aggregation, everything will be taken care by the taken care by the database. Then the data will be pushed, so that the data will be processed, and simply the BODs will load the data into the target system. That is what meant by push down. When I say push down, whatever the activity the BODs has to done, that activity I am pushing down to the database. That is what I am referring to. Getting my point?
Yeah, got it. So which one is faster, like doing it on the database level or on the database?
Obviously, doing it at database level is always faster in general. But yeah, but there are some scenarios where we for each and every case we cannot use a SQL transformation, right? So there are some situations where if it is not possible for us to perform an ETL operation with other built-in transformations or with other like built-in functions, if it is not possible, then only in such instances we have to go for the SQL transformation. Otherwise, it is always what you call as recommended to avoid users of a SQL transformation.
So always we avoid using SQL transformation because what's the reason?
Your voice is very low. I request you to a bit more louder.
Why we avoid like using SQL transformation?
Because see here, so whatever the transformation we have, so for case we have the case transformation. For validation we have the validation transformation. Okay, so whatever the logic that we are mentioning in the case or we are mentioning in the SQL, we are mentioning in the validation transformation. So what actually happens? We have for each and every kind of the transformation. So we have each and every business logic is set for that. So if you are not using, the respect to transformation, so why actually you have to go for the SQL transformation? So why you have to go for the SQL? Directly you can write a SQL code and you can get the things done, right?
But
so that is one reason.
But you said like the SQL transformation have the better performance, right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right. So it is having a better performance, but there are some scenarios maybe, like if you feel an example that, you have a table comparison. Let us take an example of a table comparison. Okay. So let us take an example of a map operation. So what actually they are going to do is they are going to convert the different operation codes. If you want to write those 100 lines of operation codes, so that is not possible to use a SQL transformation. That is one thing. And the second thing is, see, whatever the example that I have shown you in the SQL transformation, see here, the example would be something like, see here. This is an example. So for this particular example to fulfill, so you might have attended the first session of it. So we could have attended, we could have, what do you call as, done the same example with 3 or 4 transformations. So what the database guys will say that as much as possible, without affecting the performance of the job, if BODS can handle it, that is fine. If BODS is not handle it, then only go for the SQL transformation. So that is what they say, sir, because it will eat away a lot of resources on your database. That is one thing. Second thing is your BODS system is not only the system that is depending on your, upstream database. There can be some other applications maybe depending on that. So getting my point, what I mean to say here. So if BODS will eat away a lot of your resources on your database, then what other applications have to do? Maybe on the same database server, maybe your SAP is running, maybe your SAP database is running on. So maybe you have hundreds of jobs are running on your system. See, let us take an example that in our project, we have something called as 500 jobs are running daily in a production system. So if you are going to, push down everything to the database, then all other jobs may get affected. That's what it says that. Getting my point, what I mean to say here?
Yeah, Venkat.
Yeah, so whatever may be there, the statement. The SQL statement that will be generated in your respective database, that is Oracle or SQL Server or any RDBMS system, then you can use that same SQL in the BODS SQL text. You don't have to worry. Okay, it all depends upon what is your database. In your respective database, you can have your own way of identification. You got my point, Tom?
Venkat, like, are you covering installation part, administration side, or?
The installation part, I'm not covering it because that is very straightforward steps and all, right? So that is for the documentation that I have uploaded in the training blog.
Okay.
So okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meena. So yeah. So yeah. So good night.
Yeah. Good night. Thank you.
So thanks guys. If you don't have any questions, you can drop off. And server setup. Yes, Chandra. So what I do is I will try to access the server. And now, so what I will do is I will try to upload whatever the files I have, maybe in the training blog, and I will send you an email. I mean, so maybe I will update in the training blog itself. Okay, with my findings. So once that is completed, so I can see this. So do you have an access to database, Chandra, in that server?
Give me 1 minute. Let me check.
And do you have an access to SQL Server?
Yes, I got it. So give me a minute.
What all database we have in that?
Sorry?
What all database we have? I mean, like, as part of server that we are providing. What all databases we are providing?
You mean to say in the SQL Server?
Oh, you have SQL Server, and do we have HANA?
I don't know, like voice is very low. Is the problem is at my end or I don't understand?
How about now?
Yeah, it's a bit, yeah, that is fine, yeah.
Okay, do we have like HANA to test like connection as part of this course? Like, do we know, are we covering like connecting to HANA?
Yeah, I'm covering, yes.
So can we able to do the same on the server side for practicing purpose?
That I have to check. Okay, so that won't be covered as part of the server because the server, if you need a HANA connection, they will charge more. So that won't be given as part of your server connectivity. I will show you how to connect and how to load the data.
Oh, okay. So as part of databases, like we have SQL Server, we have Oracle.
No, we have SQL Server.
Only SQL Server, okay. And IDOCs will be covering, right?
Yeah, IDOCs I'm covering, yes.
This is the first day for me, like I have missed.
Yeah, that's what, like I surprised, I see two Rajus.
Okay. Yeah.
So you are coming through Zerantech or?
Yeah, Zerantech only.
Okay.
Yeah, they said like the initial videos are like uploaded to the site, so I can go through them.
So Venkat, if you see my screen, I cannot log in.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking the server is local.
I see that.
It is saying that there is a SQL Server installed and it is saying MS SQL Server, but when I try to log in, it says login failed.
No, that is fine. That is fine, Chandra. Maybe you have to get the username and password for that. Okay. Maybe that is not a Windows authentication. That is a SQL authentication. Maybe.
Yeah, see, normally, yeah, it is saying local system. Normally, Windows authentication should be enabled, or there are two types, right? One is Windows authentication, another one is SQL Server / Windows authentication.
Yeah, no, normally I know the behavior of these systems, okay. So normally they will give you the SQL authentication only. Just select the SQL authentication, whatever the username and password you have.
Got it. I see what you are saying. See, what the email, what we got is, Venkat, the email mentioned, this is it. We got RDP access, and here is my user ID and password for the RDP, and here is HANA, and EHP7 with the ECC and BW 7.4. But right now, I'm able to connect to the I'm RDPing into the system. I can connect to the designer but I cannot connect to the database.
Yeah, I see that. So whatever the username and password you have to log into the BODS, use the same username and password to log into the SQL Server also. Taking the authentication as SQL authentication.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. What I used is BODS user 004. Nope. No, I don't.
Okay, the server name, click on cancel. Click on cancel here, and what is server name on the system? Server name. Maybe go to the computer and right click and see. Okay, that's fine.
Oops. Okay. Computer. My card.
That is the same. That is the same.
My card's 10. So if I use that one. I get the same one. Yep.
Okay, use the SQL. Use the SQL.
Nope. Yeah, it would be nice if we can get, for a temporary data.
Sure. But normally, like the Kavi will be taking care of it. So what you can do is I will talk to her and regarding your issues. I request you to update in the server access page, okay? So that because of
I'm going to post it here. As we are talking.
Please. Server access time.
Yep, will do.
Yes. Okay. So apart from that, so you are getting right, Chandra, what I'm trying to refer and all your team members?
Yeah, it is straightforward, and at least I think this is all the basic fundamentals of BODS, and it is very straightforward. You are doing a great job. But only one thing, maybe it is only me, Venkat, unless I get my hands dirty, I will not remember all that stuff.
Right, got your point. So what about all your guys? Like you guys are, the practicing all your guys, like all your guys are attending or?
I think they are attending. Right. Today only we got the server access. Yesterday we tried and we could not access server. I think now what we need is some kind of sample exercises or assignments, I should say. Then we will go through the exercises. And we will come back to you with more questions. Right now, when you are teaching us, when you are telling us, it seems very straightforward, and we are asking the questions whatever we can think of.
Okay. So, yeah, once you have that access to that SQL server and all, so what you can do is you can refer to my videos and you can practice the same. And parallel, I am also give you some assignments. Okay? That is the plan.
Yep. That sounds good.
Okay. So thank you very much, Chandra.